Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this narration of the web series 3 Fleets, taken from Reddit with the author's approval. If you are new to the series, there is a playlist listed in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Wex stepped out of the shuttle and stretched in the hangar bay. Bao, Lila, and Milo peeked out of the hatch in the larger bay. A couple dozen people milled about in the bay, getting shuttles ready for launch and securing shuttles from landing. "Good to be home," Wex said. "Wex, where the hell have you been?" Maddie shouted as she ran up to Wex. 2 days! You said 2 days! Lieutenant Commander Darwas is in a rampage. He's just waiting to toss you out in your rear, and I've been covering. Mandy's tirade was just getting going when she noticed 3 new faces in the shuttle. She glanced up at Wex. 3 of them, said. 1 pre-invasion and 2 spaceborne, caged up in a crappy little back room. Mandy nodded. "Don't think this excuses anything," she said. She hurried off to help the 3 new arrivals become acclimated to life aboard a starship. "You better go see Darwas. If he finds out that he wasn't your first stop, he'll blow a gasket," she shouted over her shoulder. Half an hour later, Wex was in Darwas's office with Lieutenant Commander was tearing strips off of him. "You took fleet property on an unapproved mission. You endangered operations of Telek and Rakar, not to mention disobeying an order." "I was doing my job, Commander," Wex said. He'd taken a seat in front of Darwas's desk because he knew Darwas would prefer him to stand. "Your job is to follow orders. As you like to point out, I'm not in the military. I'm a civilian agent. We both work for Command, but I don't work for you. You're out of line, Agent Wexler. Your services are at the discretion of First Fleet. When you steal government property, you'll find out how little your skills can save you." "I didn't steal anything, Darwas, and you know it. Everything I borrowed is right back in your hangar, plus 3 new rescues." 3? You did all of this for 3 rescues? "Hell yes. We'd never turn this fleet around just for 3 people. I, borrowed a ship and brought them home," Wex said. "Threw in a field test on that alien fatsuit for free while I was at it." "This mission was not authorized. You were not authorized. We brought back 1,800 rescues while you were gone. Now you're going to lose your career over 3 people. "I'd have lost it over 1 person. Task Force Fidelity, remember? Not Task Force. Oh, it wasn't worth the gas to free those slaves. Our mission is to bring our people home." "You must have been a saint in a previous life or something. That's the only way I can explain your luck. Just before you got here, the old man sent down word that all agents are to investigate a new rumor we picked up. He mentioned you by name," Darwas said. His mouth curled up like it tasted something foul. "What rumor?" Wex asked, not while disappointed with curtailing the argument. "Jericho. There is a rumor of a colony named Jericho. The old man is interested because that name wasn't translated. That's its actual name. So either there's a hell of a coincidence between Old Earth's name, or it was founded by people from Earth." "That would be a hell of a coincidence." You are supposed to investigate and report back. Understood? No cowboy heroics in this one. Find out what you can and get your ass back here." 3 days later, Wex was back in the hangar bay, preparing his shuttle to leave. Mandy was checking the port lateral thruster array, and Wex was restocking food and water when he heard someone clear the throat behind him. Wex turned around to see Lila standing there with Bao stood several meters behind her. Thank you," Lila managed to get out. She buried her face in her hands as soon as she finished. "She wanted to come tell you in person," Bao said. "She's been practicing." Wex looked down to clear his eyes. When he looked up, eyes still watery, he said, "It was my pleasure, Lila." Bao asked, "Heading out so soon?" "That's the job," Wex said. "We come out here to bring our people home. Some of us just have got to go ahead of the fleet and find them first." "I heard you were in some trouble because of us," Bao said. "No," Wex said. "I was in trouble because of me. Well, that and a jerk who thinks he's king of his little molehill. But mostly me." "Even so, we appreciate what you did and the risks you took. I'm not good at this," Wex said, and then picked up another crate to load into his ship. "I've got a mission and We should be going too. Leela has classes shortly. She really has taken to Earth history. You should see her light up when they talk about ancient castles, Bao said as he gently pulled Leela back. Bye, Jedi, Leela said, stunning both Wax and Bao. Then she took off out of the hangar. Take care of her, Wax said. I will, Bao said. Then he too left, chasing Leela at a gentle pace. You're the biggest jerk, Mandy said to him from around the rear of the shuttle, but you have a good heart. Yeah, that's me, nothing but heart and arsehole. Did you get the thruster repaired? Hours later, far from any human ships or worlds, Wax felt himself fall back to that memory with Leela in the hangar. He found that the memory could keep him warm, even in the cold depths between the stars. End of chapter. Chapter 9. A decisive audition. Because it's damned odd, that's why, Major Winthrop shouted. It is not odd, Major, Mr. Bridget said. We overthrew the Turlock and created our 3 fleets. Why wouldn't one of our other slave races want to join the flight? Look, Mr. Bridget, I appreciate what you're trying to do. You have a wonderful organization, but with all the helping the poor little aliens, and as much as I appreciate all you do, we simply don't have any way for aliens to join the 2nd fleet. Major, have you met the Guarallarina? Sounds Welsh. Not exactly, sir. They are approximately 3.5 meters tall on average. The Turlock used them as beasts of burden. I've seen some of the larger ones pull meter-wide tree trunks out by the roots with their bare hands. These Welsh aliens of yours, the Guaralina, I should say, these aliens, how intelligent are they? Mr. Bajit sat down and faced Major across the desk. Quite intelligent, Major. They produce beautiful music during the rest periods. They have a deeply profound religion based on nature deities. Their stories and legends show a reverence for customs similar to ours. Well, that's all very well for them, but can I train them to fight? Could they drive a tank or fly a plane? Do they have any heavy manufacturing of pharmaceuticals? Mr. Bajit pursed his lips momentarily. Not, as such. They are more of a feudal society, roughly equivalent to our Middle Ages. Castles and knights, then. Of course, of the sort, Major. But they are quite dedicated and grateful. They want to help, to hold their destiny in their own hands. One cannot fault them for that, surely. Major Winthrop sighed and ran his hands through his hair. No, suppose we all should understand that. Very well, Mr. Bridget. Bring a few of these Welsh aliens around and I'll see what use we can find for them. Mr. Bajit's face erupted into a smile. I have 3 wonderful candidates right outside, he said. Major Winthrop stared at Mr. Bajit for a while. I see, he said. The 2 men walked out of the front door of the heavy afternoon sun. The giant red star overhead beat down on them as wisps of dust swirled around them. They squinted against the light and dust. Manalcor, Trilewine, and Dollarnail, Mr. Bajit shouted as they rounded the corner. Standing in the parade ground were 3 of the biggest aliens Major Winthrop had ever seen. Each one was over twice the Major's height. Sergeant Wisjinsky, a bear of a man from Milwaukee, barely came up to the aliens' midsection. Their muscles rippled under their skin as they moved, each cord thicker than a man's wrist. Their legs were more like elephant legs than a man's, thick and frighteningly powerful. While their height was the first thing he noticed, Major Winthrop had also taken their wits in brawn. As Mr. Bajit called their names, the 3 aliens stood at a rough approximation of attention. Very good, this is Major Winthrop, Mr. Bajit said. He was speaking louder than strictly necessary to be heard over the wind. He has come to observe you to see where you should be able to sign. Not strictly true, Mr. Bajit. Let's not get their hopes up, shall we? Yes, of course, Major. Manalcor, please show Major how strong you are. The first behemoth alien nodded brusquely and then looked around. He spotted a set of picnic tables a few meters away. A handful of long, powerful strides had him at the tables. He picked up one wrought iron table in each hand and banged them together. After a single, ringing impact, the tables were no longer recognizable. The giant alien crushed and tangled mess between his massive tree-like arms into a crude ball. Manalcor looked over his shoulder and saw a tank parked near the armory. He took the metal ball that used to be the brace of picnic tables, wound up, and delivered a streaking hot pitch into the broad side of the tank. When the ball hit, the tank was nearly flipped over from the impact, landing heavily on its left side tread. The heavy armor was bent and had molded itself around the ball. Monalco turned back and smiled at the Major and Mr. Bridget. The Major took an involuntary step backwards when he saw a mouthful of sharp teeth longer than his forearm. "Quite the show, Mr. Bridget," the Major said, his brow furrowed. "Top-notch brute strength. Can they follow more complicated orders?" "Of course, sir. To line one, run over to that tank, retrieve the ball, and set the tank back at its treads." The second alien leapt into action. In moments, he had made it to the tank and plucked the ball from the side. With one powerful stroke, he righted the tank, which bounced when it hit the ground. The gigantic alien then ran back to Mr. Bridget and dropped the ball at his feet with a heavy thud that kicked up a cloud of dust. "Satisfied, Major?" Mr. Bridget asked. His bright face was open and waiting. "Very nearly, Mr. Bridget, very nearly. May I command the third?" "Yes, that should not be an issue." "Why the hesitation, Mr. Bridget?" "I've been the only one working with them, so we've never tried someone else asking them to do something." "If they join the fleet, they'll have to adapt to many superior officers and enlisted personnel giving them orders." "Yes," Mr. Bridget said, smiling. "Of course they will, it'll be fine." The Major turned to the third alien. "You there! I say you there!" "His name is Dollar Nail, sir," Mr. Bridget said. "Very good, Mr. Dollar, Nigel. Front and center, if you please." The third alien hesitated, then lumbered over to stand in front of Major and Mr. Bridget. "Now, Mr. Dollar Nigel, can you tell me why you want to join my fleet?" The alien hesitated and looked at Mr. Bridget. "It's okay, Dollar Nail, to answer the McCranger's question." When the alien spoke, his voice was high and clear. It reminded Major of a young child. "I wish to help." "I see you fully taught them the King's English, Mr. Bridget," the Major said. "We cannot always rely on translators, sir. This seemed a safer option for those wanting to join your fleet," Mr. Bridget said. Major Winthrop nodded. "Mr. Dollar Nigel, how exactly would you want to help?" The giant alien cocked his head and stared down at Major Winthrop. "By killing the Toliak," it said in a giant child's voice. Yes, that would be quite helpful, Mr. Dollar Nigel." "Well, Major, what do you think?" Mr. Bridget asked. Major Winthrop stared up in the smooth face of the three giants standing in the open yard. He looked at the two picnic tables twisted into a ball by their bare hands. He looked at the dented and deformed tank with one tread hanging dangerously loose. "I suppose I'll have to see the quartermaster for septuple extra-large uniforms," Major Winthrop said. Mr. Bridget cheered and the aliens followed. "And one medium uniform," the Major said, looking at Mr. Bridget. I'm sorry?" Mr. Bridget said. "Yes, well, these Welshmen seem to respect you, and you have a great deal of experience with them. You are hereby drafted as squad leader, Corporal Bridget." The three gargantuan aliens looked at Corporal Bridget and smiled with their mouths full of overlarge teeth. Corporal Bridget managed a weak and watery grin that managed to combine both terror and joy. End of chapter. This is a special thank you to the one, the only, the legendary Eric Hino, who has become the only Tier 6 patron. I just want to thank the T5 patrons and channel members: Bob the Dragon, Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnold, Estrella the Dreamer, TryAgain95, Fudic Yol, Meridian117, Alithia, Jordan Bucksborn, Angry Marine, Albarden Gusta, and Barkey. Thank you very much. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.